My 100-day project started back in March 2023, and as of the filming of this video, I just finished day 88. Yay! You can catch my first update video up here, where I share some lessons learned and do a flip through of my first sketchbook. In this video, I want to share what I learned about painting patterns, some gouache tips, highlight a few of my favorite pages, and share a flip through of my second sketchbook. Hi there, my name is Audrey, your watercolor bestie, and welcome to my studio. A little bit of backstory if you're new here. I started my 100 days of watercolor mindfulness back in March 2023, and at some point I decided to take on the challenge of learning and using gouache. For you see, it had been collecting dust, and this project was inspiring me to wipe off that dust and dive in. Starting on day 26 and then day 29 and on, I started using gouache almost exclusively. I began by painting florals, of course, and then went on to fruits and vegetables. I didn't realize at that time that I would paint almost 52 days worth of fruits and vegetables. I'm pretty amazed that I was even able to come up with that many prompts. So here are 3 gouache tips that I've learned over these past couple months. First, always swatch. The great thing about the Holbein gouache, which is the brand that I'm using, is that the color doesn't shift from when you place it on the paper. Like as soon as you paint it, it will dry that color. Sometimes paint will dry lighter or darker, but Holbein is pretty true. Another reason why I do it is because sometimes when you mix up the color in your palette, it doesn't always look like that color. Especially if your palette is dirty, you're not going to get a true color. So always swatch. That's just a good tip for any art medium, to be honest. Number 2, the color white is your friend. So whether it's the white gouache or a white gel pen, adding a touch of white here and there is really going to make your paintings pop. Maybe you're going to outline your subject or add details and highlight. So when it comes time for you to order your own gouache, make sure to get an extra tube of white paint or get a larger tube of white paint. And lastly, don't be afraid, especially of tube paints. Maybe it was just me, but I was very wary of using tube paints. I always felt like I was somehow wasting them. Because it's not like you can shove the paints back up the tube, you know? And it's not like watercolor pans where you have a set amount and you can just reactivate it whenever you want. Now the tubes that I'm using are 15 milliliter, and there's a lot of paint in here. These are some of the green paints and the white tube of gouache that I've used pretty consistently. I love green in general, and you can see that I still have a lot of tube paint left. I've only used a tiny fraction, so don't let the fear stop you. Now for some tips on painting patterns. These tips are going to apply specifically to my fruit and vegetables, but try to apply these principles to other subjects too. Number 1, start with a statement piece. So when I started sketching my pages, I always began in the middle of my page. I first thought about what the fruit and vegetable looked like when it was whole or sliced or halved or quartered. I also observed the leaves and noticed any interesting shapes. Once I had a few statement pieces in the center, then I would fill in the rest of the page. And so the second tip would be to fill the rest of the page with related elements. Now with fruits and vegetables, the related elements are pretty obvious, like the leaves, seeds, flowers, kernels, etc. You don't have to fill in all of the dead space, but I really wanted to. So I made sure to fill in almost every available space with vines, leaves, dots, flowers, etc. These related elements should physically be smaller than your statement piece so that it doesn't take any of the attention away from it. And the last tip is color harmony. Thank goodness fruits and vegetables are found in nature and easily give us a color palette to work with. Even still, I tried to keep my color palette to about 3 to 4 colors maximum. The color of the actual fruit or vegetable kind of dominated the page. The secondary color was usually the inside of the fruit or vegetable or greenery. And the greenery more or less matched the temperature of the fruit's color too. For example, on day 71 with the corn, the warm yellow and orange colors on the corn made me want to use a more muted green. In day 78 with the limes are already green, right? So I didn't want the leaves to be the same color, obviously. So I went for a much darker green, and I also made it a lot smaller. Some pages don't even have greenery, and that's okay. You can fill it with other elements too. Okay, now for my top 3 paintings. Always hard choosing my favorites, but I will try. Day 50, bananas. I felt like this was one of my most playful patterns. The bananas are swirling in all sorts of directions. The two-toned leaves stand out just enough. And the simple shadow details on the banana peels was exactly what I was going for. Day 63, mushrooms. Painting these at the start of the fall was just perfect. The colors were so inspiring to me, and I love how the white spots stand out on the mushroom tops. And last but certainly not least, the yuzu. Now, technically, I chose this one because I wanted to be able to lump in all of my other citrus pages. But I chose to highlight the yuzu because I really tried to layer so that I could make the yuzu peel have some dimension and give it that bumpy look, which I think I did okay. That was really hard to choose just 3 because I really love all of these pages. So let me know in the comments which one is your favorite as I do a flip through of this sketchbook. Enjoy! Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe and like this video and comment with something new you may have learned about gouache, or maybe there was a page in my sketchbook that you really loved. If you want to support my watercolor journey, you can drop a tip in my virtual tip jar at ko-fi.com/AudreyRodDesign. Stay tuned for the rest of my 100-day project, and I'll see you in my next video. Thanks. Bye.